going to call to order the meeting of the Animal Control Ad Hoc Committee, January 9th, 2024. And Commissioner Janone, would you give our invocation for us, please?
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I ask you to come and be with us tonight, and I want to just thank you so much for bringing all of us together and all of the people that have come tonight to hear and voice their concerns about our animals, because they are God's creatures. And I know, Lord, that you will give us wisdom and knowledge, and I pray, Lord, that you will also, when we leave tonight, give us safe harbor as we go home. Lord, I just thank you for the sheriff coming tonight. I know he's protecting the community, and I thank him for coming. And I thank our commissioners and our citizens here tonight that sit on this board and our attorney. And I ask God that you surround us with your angels and give us the wisdom we need, and let us hear all of the things that we need to hear and not shut those out. And I ask this through Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right. Approval of the agenda. Can I entertain a motion for that?
Mr. Chairman, just under old business, I do have to report, a small report.
Sure.
Reference the question that was brought up about the dog over on Lot 4. Where it was
last month? Or?
Yes, from the month before. Our last meeting, let's say. Because I just had some update information
on it.
that.
Do you want to add that under C?
That'd be fine, sir.
What is this? The
Update on the animal that was kind of running at large for a period of time.
I don't remember that, but it's in old minutes probably.
Yes, sir. It's under old business.
Animal update. We're going to call that animal update.
Sounds good.
Lot 4.
Thank you.
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. Anything else to add? Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Approval of the minutes from last month. Can we get a motion for that?
I make a motion, but I'll have to abstain.
Gotcha. I'll second it.
I don't think I can do that.
You can't do that.
Never
I'll
mind.
make a motion for approving.
Okay. I'll second that if nobody else says. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
All right, one abstention, Commissioner Jones. You weren't here last month, right?
No.
Okay. Recognition of the public. I ask that you say your name and your address before you speak, and please keep it concise. You have up to 5 minutes, but don't use it if you don't have to. We'll be here all night. Kathy, Arlene.
Miss Arlene.
Just state your name and your address.
Hi, my name is Kathy Arlen. I live at 231 Chipaway Drive in Gallatin. I've been a 4-year resident of Sumner County, and here to speak on behalf of a lot of people in this room on kind of our ideas about animal control. I had a presentation which I've given to the committee members. Please feel free to go through that at your leisure, and I'll kind of just go through this as quickly as I can. Some of it's my own opinion, some of it's gathered from a lot of the people that I've talked to that have had stories, opinions, and know the history of animal control here in Sumner County. So specifically, first of all, I want to thank everybody here, thank the commissioners, thank the committee for allowing us the opportunity to speak about this, something that I think a lot of people in this room care deeply about. So first of all, I put in here items for the committee that we would like you to, I put investigate or more just look at, look into, and these fall under 3 categories: care protocol, transparency and accountability, and communication and community involvement. So with that, kind of go through the agenda, and I'm not going to go through every single one of these bullet points for time, but I'll kind of tell you some of the things that I have heard and that have come up very recently. First of all, is the intake process at the shelter being followed? The reason I ask that specifically is documentation of weight, condition, microchip, etc. Who is accountable for that? And I will give you a very recent example from this morning. where we found a cat that had a microchip that was brought in, and there was no documentation on the intake form as to whether or not an owner had been contacted. Possibly it was surrendered by the owner, who knows, but if it was not documented, we don't know. We had another one that had a chip, and it was not documented at all. There were no medical notes whatsoever with all three of these animals, all of whom had medical issues that were pulled by a rescue and brought from Sumner County Animal Control. We want to know about the cleaning protocol. This is so important to not spreading disease and to making sure that animals stay healthy. We've had reports that kennels have wet floors, which breeds disease. Diarrhea and urine in the kennels that's being hosed out, that just aerosolizes it. We've heard a lot about that during COVID. That spreads disease. Wet floors spread disease. The building, as we understand it, was constructed with improper drainage, meaning the drainage does not drain out of the kennels. And so to fix this, they put in a bumper that keeps it out of the walkway for people, but keeps it in the kennels for the dogs, which has led to urine scalding and all kinds of problems for animals within those kennels. We want to know more about the quarantine protocol. Do injured and sick animals receive treatment before the stray hold is up? We had a cat this morning that, if I get to show the video to you, I will. It had a degloved tail. And if anybody knows what that is, that just means the skin of the tail has completely come off of the tail. So it's basically just, it's very, very painful. That cat sat there from January 3rd until it was pulled on January 9th today, and was in horrible pain, which terrible infection. And I don't know what happened. It came in with the tail wrapped. The wrap was wrong. The gauze, or it wasn't gauze, it was like cottony material, had gotten into the tail, so we weren't even able to cut it off. And, you know, I'm glad for this particular cat because, you know, it didn't get euthanized, and it actually has the chance to live, but that cat suffered for 6 days. And again, I have video of this, and I'm happy to share it. What are the reasons for animal euthanasia? I think that should be publicized to people. Is it behavior? Is it illness? Is it space? And why, again, and I've asked this in other things, are why are animals leaving unvaccinated and unaltered? Is this the responsibility of the veterinarian? What about vaccines, injuries, and illness like I just talked about? The other thing is having transparency and accountability. What are the roles and responsibilities of the employees? Again, with that example of the intake form that was not complete. We didn't have enough information to know what was going on. Are those job descriptions that are given to the employees, are they being followed? Who's responsible for making sure that happens? Why aren't there any volunteers? And we know the reason for that is because we have prison labor for free. And we know the ethical problems that can happen with that. I've heard a lot of documentation, a lot of stories about what has happened with various prison labor. So happy to share any of those. And why are the animals in the intake area not available for public viewing? It's only the ones that are available. And again, I'm going to go down to communication and outreach. Why is there no website? We don't have a website. We have a Facebook page. Why no photos on Pet Finder? We finally got some stuff up on Pet Finder, but it's just names. How does citizen in need know that there's a pet food pantry? Because there's absolutely zero talk about that. The online customer experience is absolutely inadequate. And again, I'm running up on time, so my recommendations, please hire an experienced animal control professional to run the shelter or contract with the licensed 501c3 rescue. Network with other rescues, upgrade the care and cleaning protocols, require clear, explicit documentations. I've got some observations for you, but I also put some resources to some shelters that do it the right way. One of them is in Chattanooga. I'm very intimately involved with them, and I'd be happy to take anybody on the committee down and see how they do their jobs. Thank you.
Thank you. Please hold the applause down, and we're never going to get through this. Donna Hartley.
Probably have the least experience with animal welfare
If you
than
would,
anyone in
please.
this room.
If you would,
I'm
please
sorry.
do your name
I'm
and
Donna
your
Hartley
address.
Lucas. I live at 111 College Street in Gallatin.
Thank you.
And I am TNR only. I've been doing it at my home where there's a lot of community cats for 20 years and only recently started helping other people. my main concern, and I think it was articulated very well, that we could easily target simply the veterinary care for now and make a great start. There is an organization, Association of Shelter Vets. This sounds a little overwhelming, but they have a 543-point checklist for shelters. And they do not consider a shelter fully humane and living up to standard unless all of those 543 points are met. One shelter in Silicon Valley that's state-of-the-art has lived up to that in 2023. And it's on the website is on the information that I gave you. But if we have a vet that is on contract, fully understands his responsibilities, that someone that is experienced in shelter management, there's resources out there. You just have to look and you have to ask. There is someone in that organization. Does our vet? I don't even know who he is. Does he belong to the Association of Shelter Veterinarians? If he did, he could go point by point what makes a humane shelter. I've had 2 recent experiences where people went to get, quote, barn cats, and animal control person shoved a cat into their arms and said, "This will make a great barn cat. It's so mean, just take it. I'm not even gonna charge you." The cat had such infected ears, it was in excruciating pain, that's why it was mean. They got it vet care privately, they took the cat, I mean, what are you gonna do? One gets put in your arms. Took the cat, got it vet care. The cat is not a barn cat, it's on the foot of her bed every night. All it had was infected ears. And I am pretty sure that scenario is repeated over and over because the veterinary care is not up to the minimal standards, much less a 543 checklist that vets that belong to this organization at shelters are compelled to follow. And they want to follow them. And we are a growing county. Sumner County is a caring county, and they care about animals. And we need to convey that so that policies change, and most of all, that policies and procedures are consistent and written down. I'm going to quote, probably not popular in Sumner County, but I'm going to quote a Democrat, Senator Huber Humphrey, that said, "You can judge a society by how they take care of the elderly, and those in the dawn of life, and those in the close of life." And I think we need to also include in that group animals that have no voice. That feral cat that wants to go back to its community, but instead is euthanized because a property owner complained about it, and it was picked up and it was euthanized, has no voice. A dog on a chain in this weather out here, and I can point you to a place where that's going to be the case tonight. And the woman has called for 4 years about this dog. He's going to be chained tonight in that weather. We need to speak up for the voiceless. Thank you.
Again, please hold the applause. I have a feeling all these are going to be good speakers that you're going to want to applaud for, but we just can't for the sake of time. Deborah Winkler. Deborah Winkler.
It's me, but I didn't sign up to talk. Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll move on. Judy Coe.
That's me too, but Jody Coe. Yeah,
Jody, I'm sorry. Both gonna skip. Okay.
Yeah.
Heather Jones.
I think I went over there.
Sorry.
We collaborated, I think. Good.
Bear with me, I normally talk to animals, not people.
Name and address, please.
Heather Jones, 131 Walton Trace, Hendersonville, Tennessee. I have been a resident here in Sumner County for about 30 years. I moved here when I was 10 and I'm now 40. Started going to the Humane Society as a young child and now I'm an employee there. Kind of have some of the same issues with the medical care I do go to the pound and pull animals, and I tend to pull ones that seem to be more in need of, for fear of what will happen to them. We are not government funded, our money is hard to come by, and it is raised by GoFundMe and by you wonderful people that donate to us. And constantly pulling animals costing thousands on thousands, in addition to my owner surrenders that cost money, is a very hard thing to do. We have pulled quite a few. Some have been on the adoptable side and moved to the not adoptable side. And when I asked why the specific animal was who I did take, they said he was just getting skinnier. And ultimately, when I took him to the vet, he had demodectic mange, he had heartworms, he was infested in internal parasites. If he had just been dewormed, we wouldn't have been skin and bones and in such a horrific situation as to what he was. I did pull him. Later on, within about a year, he passed from liver failure, but that was after we treated all of these other things that were unknown factors that just kept popping up. Again, a simple deworming would have fixed things instead of going, well, he's not eating, let's just move him to the not adoptable side and watch him die. He was a very near and dear to my heart when he actually died in my bathroom. I took him home for hospice care. There was also another one where we were told the kitten was blind. Turned out the kitten had glaucoma in both eyes, was neurologically damaged, was anemic, and was beyond not savable, and had been sitting in that kennel. And if I hadn't took that cat, it would have literally died in the kennel alone, suffering. Still died ultimately, but it was with people that cared about it, and at least it got love for the last couple of weeks. I've pulled a couple recently, which were some that were being talked about earlier. One that literally just got through surgery earlier and made it through the tail amputation and everything, and hopefully will be doing well soon. But a lot of questions on how long they sit there, why they're not being treated, being told the vet has seen this animal and said, well, it could be this, it might fall off, it could be. A vet never says that. It says, let me keep finding, do more tests, figure out what's wrong. If it's not fixable, we are a no-kill. If it's not fixable and the humane thing is to euthanize, that is what should be done. I don't like to euthanize. We don't have vet on staff. We go outsource for that. The kitten had to be euthanized by spay and neuter because they realized all of the problems and it was not a fixable situation. The cat couldn't even walk. And they were told, the vet said the cat was just blind, not what was really going on. So, and then some of the stuff with the cleaning, because of how we clean our rescue also, which is just not how you do it. You got an isolation and they stay there and you wear gloves and you bleach your feet, and there's a lot more sanitary ways to do particular things that just don't seem to be done the way they should be. Again, I do pull a lot from there because that's when we're full, that's where they go most of the time. So I tell people, I will go get your animal when we have space. And normally they are still there. I don't feel things just get euthanized to just be euthanized at all. I don't think that's really the case. I do think they don't get enough vet attention. And with there being a vet that can come and do that, that's very confusing for me personally as to why things aren't followed up on and actually treated.
Very good.
Okay.
I didn't mean to rush you off. I'll say you're.
No, you're good.
Thank you. Can we have Donna DeSopo, please?
Donna DeSopo, 101 Chandler's Court in Hendersonville. And I want to say to all of you, I'm so glad that you're here, because near and dear to probably all of our hearts is the fact that we love animals too, and want to make sure that they're well taken care of. But I also want to thank the sheriff who's here this evening, because we know it's a daunting task to take care of animals, and it's unfortunate people surrender them, and it's just a never-ending array of what the need is, and it can be very insurmountable. So probably, in my opinion, is how do we put the best practice of, really, in my mind, putting care in animal control. I will say that I really am a fan of Nashville Humane Society. I've rescued my animals. I've had many in my lifetime I've rescued. I look at that facility and it's a well-oiled, amazing machine, and I'm pretty much into data, and data to me tells me so much. And if you look at their site, and they have the creds to tell, they are 99% save rate, which is amazing. And they can adopt out, typically within 3 days, they're adopting animals out, because my rescue, who had a very hard life, is in my house. My Elvis, who was found abandoned in the Memphis airport, visibly very damaged and had been abused. And so what our responsibility is, as a great county, to show everybody that instead of us having, and some of the data sets that I'm looking at is 71% euthanization rate, how do we totally flip that on its head to get close to that 99% save rate? We have work to be done, and how can we work in cohort and find the best practices and implement them here? How can we support the sheriff's office? What can we implement? How can we do that methodically and make great strides? We can't fix everything overnight, and sometimes I wish I can wave a magic wand, especially when it comes to the health and well-being of the voiceless. My uncle's a huge advocate of animals, and he had said, you know, it's sad because animals don't vote. But the beauty of us as a community is that we do, and we have to show everybody that we are a community that loves our pets, our children, our seniors, the most vulnerable among us. And so I am so blessed that this committee has been established, because we can make things better than what they are today. And what we'll be able to do is examine where are the unmet need areas, what can we do as quickly as possible to fulfill those unmet needs, and work with, we have great leaders, great sheriff's office. How can we maybe alter certain things and what's not working, do the things that work, and implement best practices? We know they're out there. National Humane, I know firsthand, is one of them. So I want to thank you all today, and whatever I can do as a citizen, I am committed 100% into making things better for our animals, and putting the care in animal control, and making a shelter really a safe haven for animals. I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Can we have Jamie Clifton, please? That'll be our last speaker.
I'm Jamie Clifton. I'll tell my age. I'm a 66,
Address.
849 Coles Ferry Road.
Thank you.
I'll tell my age. I've been a resident of Sumner County for 66 years. I've been in animal rescue for 21 years. Started out doing horse rescue, working with law enforcement, many cases with Sumner County. I've worked with 26 other counties when they prosecute people for neglect or abuse of livestock animals. I actually was an employee of the sheriff's office for 9.5 years, and 4 of those years I was at animal control. Unless they have thrown away policy books, there are policies that set out how all of these things are supposed to be done. There are policies that say that animals do not leave there unless they're going to a rescue that are not already spayed or neutered. That was strictly adhered to. I can't imagine that they just threw out all the rules. The drainage was not correct when they built the building. I was a stern advocate for the county sheriff's office to be the one that got to control animal control in the beginning. I didn't think that a rescue could handle the responsibility. I know what it takes for my rescue, for just the horses. My bill at the co-op last month was $1,800 for 14 horses. I've got 2 owner surrenders that eat almost 30 pounds of food a day because they can't have any hay. Back when I was at animal control, we didn't have resources to give food away to people who needed it. On a rare occasion, if somebody brought in donated food, we would let someone in need have that food. But the food that came through Pedigree, is it still Pedigree?
Yes, ma'am.
We used for the animals that came in. There was a lot of euthanasia then, and it was for space. But do you turn away somebody coming in when you've got every kennel full? It's just impossible to not euthanize unless you turn people away at the door. We would hate to do it, but it was just a fact of life. Animal control is run by the county, funded by the county. There's not a Friends of Animal Control that can be a nonprofit and help them with medical expenses for these unusual animals that come in that need extra medical care. That would be a solution to me, is to have a nonprofit that could help them with funding. Then you could all contribute. If you contribute now, it goes into the county's general fund, and they have to ask for it. And that's a several-day process to get that money. Friends of Animal Control could have thousands of dollars. Donna, were you the one that was over the?
I cannot do questions.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
There was a fund set up. We had a hoarding case that before I worked for the sheriff's office didn't have anybody to help with things like that. So they came to the horse rescue to do this dog and cat case. There were 480 dogs there to start with. And there was a fund set up after that with the leftover donation money. And I think Donna was on the board of that fund. That money's there and it's a nonprofit. You could do that. Only thing I can't tell you that you could help is the cleaning of the kennels. They do spray out the kennels. Sometimes at my house I have 5 dogs. I want to spray out my sunroom. That's just, I can't imagine how you could go about cleaning the kennels differently and washing everything down and then using bleach in a mop bucket. And they have to go in there and dry it too. There's just not enough time of day.
No, you're okay.
No,
You had a few minutes.
I had no intention of even speaking. I just, everything is against animal control.
Thank you.
I don't think they're that bad.
Thank you, Ms. Clifton. Okay, that concludes the public speaking portion. Report of the chair, I have no report. Under old business, the discussion of spay and neuter procedure, we wanted to continue that, so I was looking back at old notes to see kind of where we left off, but the floor is open to start the discussion on that.
Back up a little, I'm having trouble.
Yes,
hearing
sure.
you. Thank you.
Sure, I will try to project my voice a little bit better. Discussion on spay and neuter, and Commissioner Janine, go ahead.
I have a question. So, the spay and neuter, so the animals are coming, from what I remember when I was here last, the animals come in, if they're not neutered or they're not spayed, they're in a hold pattern, and then after that, are they being set up for spay and neuter with an organization or with a vet, or are they just how's that work?
Okay. Animals come in, they go through all the process, supposed to go through the documentation, just like when they come in, and I've presented a package before with all that information on there. But reference specifically spayed and neutered. When Jamie was there, and when I was there, we did have the animals spayed or neutered before they left the facility. As you know, COVID and everything else came along. But there is a Tennessee State Code Annotated Law 44-17503. It reads under Section A, if the dog or cat being adopted has not been spayed and neutered, the agency shall require a deposit of not less than $25 from the new owner prior to the adoption in order to ensure the dog or cat is spayed and neutered. The new owner may request and shall receive a refund deposit from the agency upon providing spade or neutering. That law allows a shelter to have an animal go out not spayed or neutered, with the deposit made, with the owner's supposed to get that dog or animal, cat or animal, spayed or neutered within a reasonable amount of time, which a reasonable amount of time it can be designated as 30 days.
So do they have to prove in 30 days that they had the animal neutered or spayed?
What they do is once they get that animal spayed or neutered, then they bring the paperwork back,
What if they don't do it?
then they don't do it.
It's not checked off.
But weren't you gonna bring the documentation of how many that were actually, I'm sorry.
Just
So,
make sure.
Make sure I get her answer,
I
and
won't
then
call
we'll go
point
ahead.
of order. I just want to try to do this orderly. If you got
So-
something, go ahead and raise your hand and get in the queue
okay,
and I'll let you speak.
so in 30 days, I adopt an animal that hasn't been spayed or neutered.
Mhm.
And I tell you, oh, I'll get it done. And I leave and and so I don't do it. And in 30 days, does somebody show up at my house and say, I want the dog or cat back?
No,
Or you just let it go? and-
no.
You
You
just
see,
don't
state
get your
law says
$25.
that's the way to do it, and the responsibility goes to the new owner.
So the new owner is responsible for it, they don't get their $25 back. You know,
Well, the
honestly-
least amount is 25, that's what they've been doing, but they can charge whatever money they want to. They say it has to be at least $25.
I'd say 100.
Well,
I understand, but that's in line with that. And the reason for that, number one is, and to let you know, Vol State, when they're in class, they do spay and neuter animals for us at no cost. They administer vaccines to the animals at no cost. We have a memorandum of understanding between Ball State Community College and the Sheriff's Office, Animal Control, that they bring their students to our location and tend to different needs of the animals in the shelter. We allow them to do that, and they do all the shots and whatever needed done to the animals at no charge to the county.
Let me ask you, so they're volunteer state community college students,
Veterinary program.
veterinary program,
vet
they're
techs.
vet techs,
Yes, ma'am.
and they're doing surgery on animals with a surgeon or a
They got
vet?
2 certified vets that teach that program.
Okay,
And we take the animals to Vol State, and they got a complete operating room and everything down at Vol State to get these procedures done. If it's something, care for the animal, such as maybe the animal tail that was talked about earlier, then they could doctor that or do what they need to do on site with that. They write prescriptions. We get antibiotics and things of that nature filled at Food Line or Publix, and they do not charge for certain antibiotics.
so my question is, what's the problem? Why is there a problem in the community about spay and neuter? If this is happening, then what is the answer?
yeah, I don't want to say like, what's the problem? We're identifying issues through, so Lieutenant Matthews has said that there's a vet that comes as needed up to 2 times a week, correct, in the past?
Yes, sir.
As needed. They've used in the past other agencies like Sumner Spay and Neuter for
Alliance.
spaying and neuter, Sumner's, what's it called?
Sumner Spade Neuter Alliance.
Alliance, yes, to do the spay and neuters. When the relationship was not good with them, they used the Tennessee state law, which allows them to do this. Is that correct? And so when there's not an issue, they're getting it done through there. You just mentioned also that there's a relationship with the vet tech program or the veterinarian program to where the students are learning and doing this under supervision for spay and neuter in there. It just seems like there's no consistency there, and I think we can all agree, you've even said at one time, I believe, we would like the animals to be spayed and neutered, otherwise we're perpetuating the problem when they go out.
Fantastic.
So please hold it down from here while we're having the meeting, guys. You guys had your chance to speak, and we heard everything you say. We're gonna do our meeting here, and we can speak afterwards.
Well, excuse me,
but
we
you
all
can't-
signed
You can't
up.
talk, you can't,
No, no.
I'm
Who
sorry.
are y'all?
I'm sorry.
We don't know
Nobody in the
y'all.
audience cannot speak. We are the committee, and nobody out here can speak during the committee, or we'll have to ask you to
Might be
leave.
nice to introduce yourself next time, though, when we're here, because we don't know you.
Yes, ma'am, I'm the chairman of the committee. It's
What's your name?
Tim Jones. I'm the commissioner, that's the
I'm
chairman.
Commissioner Janine.
That would be awesome.
3 commissioners here, Commissioner Boyd, Commissioner Janone, Commissioner Jones, Diana Townsend, and Lieutenant Matthews. They're a citizen member and a representative from the ad hoc committee. We typically don't do that, but that's the least I could do. But please, no further comments from the public unless we
So-
break out of rules and come ask questions.
So my question, and like you said, there seems to be,
I want to finish my statement first, just real quick, sorry. I know that's leading to your question. It's a matter of consistency, and that's what this committee was formed to do, is try to help you guys recognize problems that you may not see, help us to get better care for the animals with the funds that are given to you. And so, rather than just a broad question, what's the problem, I want to hone in on those things and have you guys recognize them from people that may know or are closer to situations because it's more in their wheelhouse with the care portion of the animal control portion. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
okay, so
And then you're in the queue.
based on the conversation here so far, there is not a consistency with spay and neuter. They're doing the best they can, and there's not a consistency. We're relying on outside organizations, when and who and however. How can this committee, though, with our citizen groups, maybe they're, like, they used to have a contract with spay and neuter in Sumner County. So what are we gonna, my question is, what are we gonna do about this? Because it's like, we're talking about it, but the consistency's not there. There needs to be a formidable way to put together a process and work with outside groups or something to make this happen. I'm just trying to understand, because I feel like I'm in a loop-de-loop here. And I'm not, the questions are there, the thoughts are there, the sheriff's department's trying to do what they can, but we're not getting to to a solution.
I understand. So
I'll be
I
quiet.
know you're supposed to address questions to the chair, but I'm gonna ask our law director assistant, if something she asks about and I don't know the answer to, can I just ask another committee member just to fill in if we have a direct question here about this?
I imagine that would be quite a bit with Lieutenant Matthews here, like we've been doing at this fund. There's no problem
So
with that.
specifically, more than the broader question that was originally asked, how, is it a true statement, first of all, that there was a contract at one time between, was this Sumner
was
Spay Neuter
to
Alliance
get-
or a different one?
Yeah, Sumner Spay New Alliance, under Bob Barker, when the shelter was first in, they entered into a contract. $1 a year is all the county was charging Sumner Spay Neuter to occupy the space at the shelter. In return, they was neutering, spayed and neutering different animals that would come in on their end. Of course, Bob passed with cancer. Sonny Weatherford was elected next. Sonny Weatherford approached her about doing some of the animals at our shelter for like a no cost because they was getting the facility provided by the county at $1 a year. The owner did not like that idea, would not agree to that idea. And like I said, the sheriff could talk more. This is just my understanding. And then after they had their conversation, then Sumner Spay and Neuter Alliance decided that they were no longer going to be there, and they went on their own, got their own building, and was doing their business there.
So that's without a contract, you've tried to maintain the relationship
Right.
with
We did
them.
maintain the relationship there for quite a few years as it went by. They're able to do spade and neuters and shots at a reduced cost because they get funding, not as much funding as they used to, but it's reduced cost. Their cost compared to vet cost, there's no comparison. Okay, there's no comparison. Miss Sarah had 2 employees that came over that wanted to come over and
Meaning
volunteer.
much cheaper.
When I was there, They got upset because we had some cats that we was taking in that had problems.
Right.
I had at one time 135 cats in my facility with 38 cat kennels, right? Was trying not to utilize, was trying to use all the rescues, was trying to get these animals to locations so we didn't have to euthanize them. They went back over to Sarah crying and upset. Sarah was upset because
Right. No, I
her kids,
understand.
I'm just getting background so everybody will know.
Yeah.
And then, so Sarah decided, well, she had some cats that had some upper respiratory come over and stuff. There was a dog that was skinny that went over that we was trying to get spayed or neutered and fixed because we hadn't adopted for it. They went on and did that, but she mentioned in the letter that she decided to suspend services with Sumner County Animal Control because these cats came over sick and this dog was here. But the main thing was she was upset because her people came back upset.
I think the easy way to say that is due to a difference of opinion of care.
It's not
You
even,
guys had a falling out.
it's not even the
You did what
difference
you
of
could
care.
do.
She's had same people that was bringing people from Macon County Animal Control and others, bringing animals into her facility, and the kennels that they brought them in were absolutely filthy and stunk to high heaven. She still took those animals, and some of those animals were sick, but because of this situation up here, we parted ways, which is fine. At that time, what do? We had a vet that we had on board, that brought on board, that started doing different things there. And then as it goes along, this vet, one of our officers believed that he saw the vet do something improper upon a euthanization, and the vet was arrested by our department. It was found not guilty, I think is what they went on and decided to handle it. He was not guilty, but he couldn't practice with us anymore. We had let him go, and loved that vet. I liked the vet a lot. But we have twice had two vets that we have prosecuted in Sumner County for improper euthanization. You go now to try to get a vet to come over to Sumner County Animal Control, it's not happening. Months, 3.5 months, sent out letters, personally visit every vet in Sumner County to see if they would be interested. Nobody was interested in providing care over there. Finally, we talked to the gentleman in Macon County, which is the current vet now, talked to him about it. He thought about it. We went back and talked to him again because we had no other services available at this time. National Humane also checked with them in their facility down there, and they went through the same process of having a complete overturn of their organization down there as far as the people who work there and manage it because of some internal problems down there. There's no place that doesn't have problems. There's no kennel, there's no organization that doesn't have some problems. Are there solutions here to make things better? Sure. And that's what this committee is about, is to bring recommendations after they look into things, hear from the public, hear from everything that's going on, is to make recommendations to present to the sheriff, and at that time for the sheriff to decide what he can or cannot do, or the funding that's going to be required to do that. But that's where we're at now. So with COVID and everything going on, that's the reason they went over, because Tennessee state law said it's legal to do that. We didn't have the vet care, we didn't have the care in order to get it done all the time. So that's the reason they went on that, in order to try to get the animals adopted.
So I appreciate your.
That's gives you.
I appreciate you
Because
kind of
people-
catching everybody up. There's a
Yeah.
lot of new people here
Yeah.
that want to see kind of the brief history of that. I appreciate that. What I keep hearing in every time we talk about this is a lack of contract, a lack of relationship, a lack of any kind of recourse or accountability from both ends is causing this struggle, this conflict. No matter what you want to call it, no matter if it's an opinion of care or if it's you're justified because you're overwhelmed and you can't turn people away, there is a lack of that missing link between the people that you're forced to use because of your budget and because you can't get grants and things like that. There's a link there that's missing. We've identified it. We've got to figure out what to do about it, to build that relationship with somebody or to change the way that operates. I just want to say, to tie that up right there, I want to stick back on the agenda. and not keep going on about history, but I appreciate you bringing that
Yeah,
history
so
for
let me
the,
know.
for the rest of it. You were in the queue on something. Did it go away? You still have
No,
something
it's
to say?
it's
Go
still
ahead.
here.
Your turn. Go ahead.
I just have a quick question for you or him.
Address it to here, and if I don't know,
Okay.
we'll go there and he'll hear it.
Obviously, the $25 fee isn't really working that well. People aren't coming back and getting there. And I know that's a law, but that is a dated law. And I see your price list here for Dr. Miller, which is expensive, you know, for getting the package and everything done. So I wonder,
And Dr. Miller is the traveling vet, right?
he's your
The
veterinarian
one
that
that
comes
comes
to
He's
the.
current vet, yes.
Right, so I wonder, could we require people to go to their vet and prepay? They come to you, they want to adopt a dog. So, okay, you don't have, you know, that relationship with spay neuter is severed, this is expensive. Could they just go ahead and prepay with their vet, come back and show you, hey, we've got the spay neuter, and the vaccines, I'm still confused why maybe you all couldn't do those at the shelter minus the rabies. And save, you know, save on that, but let them go ahead, prepay, then you know that animal is fixed.
I like that idea because it puts money out there that they're gonna have to spend that they better go get the service for, but it also establishes a relationship with a vet that they
Right.
may not otherwise have if they're going to have a dog or already had animals. It puts them in contact with the vet.
It could help too.
It's a
with,
great idea.
People that want to adopt and to do puppy mills. You know, that they're not neutered or spayed, and they take the animal and then.
I understand 100%.
That's a great idea that she has right there.
And that's, again, that's what this committee is doing, is coming up with recommendations to try to make things better.
Is that something you can take to the,
That is something that I can relay.
Get an opinion on.
My understanding is that with all the information that is gathered in this committee, and then the committee will make whatever recommendations they feel like make things better. And then we take those recommendations to the sheriff, and then the sheriff will look over and see if he can do that
yes.
stuff.
But do we
And
have
if
to
he
do
do-
it all at one time?
Well, like I said, it depends on how much we're doing and stuff. I can get with the sheriff, but that's what my understanding, present, of the sheriff's understanding is that we're going to have these committee meetings. We're going to identify what problems that our citizens and this committee believe that's going on, make some recommendations on how to fix those problems. And then it will be his decision at that point what he can or cannot do and what funding he needs. Of course, he would come to the county commission to ask. A wonderful program, just real quick, in Williamson County. They got a full-time vet and 2 assistants. Full-time vet is $110,000 a year is what that full-time vet gets paid from the county. All right? So you're not talking a little expense. You're talking, that's a big expense there. Then you also got these other 2 a big expense. I've got my ideas and things that I want to see happen, but on certain things it's going to take money. On this particular suggestion, yeah, wonderful suggestion.
well, you're gonna write that down on.
Yeah, I've got it.
And we got it written down now, so.
Yeah, I've got it right here.
You choose, based on your understanding, if you want to go ahead and take that to the sheriff now, I encourage you to do that, but if it's your understanding not to the end, then so be it, but that is a great suggestion.
Right.
I want to move the discussion along as long as it's about spay and neuter,
It's
keep
just
going.
Yeah, it's just a
If it's
real-
general, then look at the other items and see if it's going to come back up again.
Oh, and she had
and
a
we'll move on with that.
two-part question too. She talked about the vaccinations.
Yeah, you-
And when I was there, we did that.
And that would solve a lot of.
Yeah,
your
we
disease
did a lot of
problems.
that. That you can administer without a vet being present, and you mentioned, except for the rabies,
Right.
and the rabies you cannot. Again, it's just the funding, like the proper funding, in order to get the medication. We've got networks that we can work with to get that at a cheaper price than maybe we can get from a vet. But the other consideration to let you know about spay and neuter too, we had made the suggestion at one point that we get 2 or 3 vets in the area to agree to start taking animals, right? But you see the cost that's involved. The cost on our particular vet is $200 and something for the shots and for the thing per animal. we do not have that budget to be able to run all the animals
I
through.
understand.
But
That's
most
what
of
they-
that you can.
Well, I understand. I'm just saying, that's another
The
thing that,
vaccine is
that had
fine.
been talked about, no decisions made, as far as trying to think what else could be done, and that was one of the things to see what the vets would do. But again, do you do that until the money runs out, right? And have to appropriate more, or how they want to handle it?
Commissioner Boyd.
But wanted to wait until this committee had all the recommendations, so the sheriff can get a good plan of what the citizens are looking at, what we found out, and which way to go. To make things better. He's always about making things
Gotcha.
better.
Commissioner Boyd.
I didn't want to interrupt the flow, but I've had a couple of questions along the way.
Sure.
First, I'd like to step back and, Jamie, thank you for coming. That was very informative. Thank you. I was wondering, Jamie mentioned that there were procedural manuals and stuff. Is it possible that we could get a copy of that?
I'm sure you could.
Because that would probably answer several things. That would be great. Back to one of the items that I think was confusing Commissioner Janung. The Vet Tech College at Ball State. My understanding is that program has a space and time that as they go through their program, they do their clinicals at
That's
that
correct.
time. So it's
They're
not
only
all year.
available during that period.
So
Right, it's
could
just
you
during those
address-
semesters.
So
the
it's,
teaching
it's just
semester.
a moment in their training. And
Correct.
could you address how many animals that actually, is that like 10 animals, 100 animals? I'm not gonna
It
hold you
could-
to it.
not- like I
Is it a
said-
5-week period in April? Just,
That's correct. They set up different times, or they request different animals. Say this week, they need a male dog and a female dog and a male cat that they're going to be doing the spay and neuter. Again, the students aren't doing it. The vets
understand.
are doing the operations, but they are watching in order to learn how the process goes and what they would be assisting with.
So not a significant addition to your.
You're not talking,
spay and neuter.
you're not
Yeah.
talking, no, 100 animals a
And-
year. You're not talking about that. You're talking more
Yeah.
along the 10 to 20
and
animals.
again, I kind of felt that was the answer, and I wanted to clear it up for Commissioner Janung, because I know that was an
Right.
item
That
that she was
confused
trying to
me.
get to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify
And we
that.
used to have, long ago, I don't know whether they even operated, there used to be a medical van, spayed and neutered, run by 2 vets that would go around and have spayed and neuter spaces. Yeah, well, there was somebody, there was another vet that done it, used to have those programs. Because of cost, because of COVID, and because of stuff like that had quit. But they used to have that, and they would come park at your facility, and people would come in and bring their dogs and cats, and they would actually do the procedure right there in the
For the
van.
public or for you guys?
Both.
I would really like to ask you if you could go back to the sheriff and ask him about considering having the family member get a
Yes.
certificate from their vet that they are going to do this, and that when they bring it back, so to me, that's super duper simple.
Yeah, we can do that, but say they leave and they don't do it anyway, there's no laws on the books that I can force them to do it.
No, if they.
Understand
pre-do-
that.
If they
They
pre.
Yeah, they prepay,
Yeah.
but they can always go back and say, well, I decided not to do it.
Yeah.
That's out, they're out money. But
That's what I'm
it's a lot
saying.
more of
And if they
anchor.
do that, we don't have any legal recourse back.
Sure.
To do anything
I don't
about
think
it.
about
Order?
that. Yeah,
I
sure.
think it was still mine.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it was.
Sorry.
Sorry, I was very patient.
You did
No.
good. Go ahead.
I've had a few practices
You're right.
this week. I think if we go back to where I was talking about the procedure book,
Mhm.
if we could start there, and I think we could get to, Mary is talking about other things that we could do, but I think it's essential that we see what your procedures are before we start jumping any which direction. Because we're gonna be, what did you call it, loop-de-loop?
You're in a loop-de-loop.
And so I think that would be essential if we could look at that
Sure.
before we start trying to decide, trying to make suggestions or recommendations or figure out the path forward.
Gotcha.
All right, so does anybody have any questions specifically to spay and neuter? Because if not, we're gonna move on to the intake policy procedure. If there's any, for old business, but if this is kind of all encompassing about procedural things there, then if you want to speak to that specifically, go ahead.
I don't. I feel like that would also, if we saw the written policy
Correct.
and then we move
May tie
on.
that up also.
Besides just, and I appreciate you going through the history again, and I want to say, I do recognize that you've went through all of this diligently a couple of times. So I appreciate that. So, yeah, if we just had the policies without going through it again.
And I will go on record and make that there's no animosity between Sumner Spay and Neuter and the sheriff's office as far as animosity at all. I love Sarah personally, and she did wonders for the animals and for what we was trying to do over there. So don't get me wrong on that. It's just at this point in time the situation happened, and that's what led to it. But as far as an organization, they do a real good job with doing that. And they have my understanding that Sarah has talked with Lieutenant Tarlackey, who's over Animal Control now, and they have made talks into trying to start the program back up again. That's my understanding. There's no firm thing that I know of at this date at time on the 9th of January, but my understanding they have had those talks with certain things that she would require. And so that could be starting back up, which would solve a lot of situations also. Just to let y'all know.
Yes, and if I wasn't clear before, I wanted to be fair. It was just really a point of frustration between differences of opinions between the two groups for whatever reasons, and there was no contract.
Correct.
That made it to where if she was in violation of it, you could do this, and if you were in violation, she could do that.
Right.
There was nothing there, and that's what I think a lot of the problem is for a lot of these issues. So I want to give you a quick summary, please, for the item C we added on the update for the animal.
This will be real quick.
Yes.
The animal that Ms. Townsend had brought up that she heard about, Lot 4, it was a 2-week period of time from the time they adopted that animal from Animal Control until they brought the animal back to Animal Control, because the animal turned out to be an escape artist. Escaped 3 different times total. Even the people that would get it and hold it and say, hey, I got your dog over here, it ended up escaping from their things. It tore a door up, it jumped over a fence. But it was a 2-week period of time. Again, that's in the 30-day time frame.
And what was the story about this dog?
Why
are we talking about it? Just for the public?
Yeah, the dog was not spayed or neutered, so it was an assumption or understanding that this dog ran for weeks upon weeks out here, and no telling who it impregnated or what all it done. This is the dog here, but it was for a 2 weeks period of time, which is in the 30-day time period under Tennessee state law.
This dog.
Been to your house?
Right here, I live on Lock 4 Road. This dog right here, after the tornado, was on Lock 4 Road, and it was a female.
After the tornado?
That's a male. That was a male.
Okay,
Similar
Yeah, that's
dog.
different. Them dogs, they look similar.
Well, I had a friend, but
But he wasn't neutered.
I never saw that dog on Lock 4 Road.
Yeah.
I live out there and I'm out there all the time.
He did. For 2
So-
weeks, they tried to keep him up and he kept escaping.
So is this a complaint?
No, this is just a follow-up just to let,
The original story, though, it was a complaint that a
Yeah.
dog was running loose
for weeks on end. It was a 2-week period of time from the time it left the shelter to the time it came back.
Gotcha.
Just a point of order, just to let, when information gets out here, it can get distorted.
Yeah, that's.
And
I wanted to
actual
tie it
truth
back
and
to the
facts is a
original
little
story.
less or a little
Okay.
more, depending what it is.
So.
But I just wanted to give a
2 week
follow-up on
period.
that. So,
Gotcha.
thank you.
All right, so we're gonna move on to new business, the discussion of the financials of animal control. I think Commissioner Boyd handed out some items on here.
So, I took a quick look at some numbers. In July, we had some
Can you
citizens.
announce which paper you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
too?
I will.
She labeled the tops of them where I can
I
hold them up so you can match.
I have a couple of extra sheets that we can pass around.
Tell me which one you're in
Commissioner
first.
Jones does.
Right.
The first one that I'll talk about is totals. Like this, Mr. Jones.
Totals. So everybody got one?
On the table, we have
Yeah, I'm sure
one.
we
If
got it.
everybody could share and pass that out. We'll put it in our packet. You can look for it online with our notes. There were questions about, and this is a really high level. If you have more questions, all county records are public records. If you want to know how to get them, you can call any 3 of us. We'll help you. You can go to the law office. Could you speak to how you could get open records requests? Could you
Yes.
just speak to people
On the
that?
county website, there's a law director page, and there's a link to the public records request form on there. And there's a person you can email it to. Just fill out the form, provide a Tennessee state ID, And if there's no exemptions or reasons why we couldn't turn it over, we'll get back to you on it, on any request.
So in July, people asked, they had questions about transactions, and so this is just a high level. If you want any information, if you go through this procedure, or if you need any more help, I think you could call any of the three of us or send us an email. So on this first sheet that's totals, all I did, there's no analysis of this sheet. It is simply the subtotals of each category as we see them at the county in the accounting system. So this is 2016 through 2023. There appears to be about 25 different categories, if you see that down through there. Like I said, I didn't prepare an analysis or anything. I can definitely at some point. I don't know if you have questions. Be sure look at this. Let us know. The other piece that I brought tonight to share is there was questions about in 2023.
Which
This is
page?
animal supplies.
That's what, they don't have that one.
And when we get through, there's 3 sheets, and when I get through
Everybody
telling
can
you
just
what's
share
on them,
one
we'll give Lieutenant Matthews
One
here
between two people,
an
possibly.
opportunity if he sees something he'd like to speak to. Again, it's not a detailed review. It's just to show you what we see at the county level as far as expenses that were asked for specifically. This sheet is animal and food supply. The question was in July was if we receive free dog food, what else are you buying for animal food and supply? And this would answer for 2022-23.
Okay.
These are the transactions for that. And again, we're gonna put these in with the notes and they'll be on the site. You can look at them. If you can look at, and I'm sorry I don't have that many sheets. We can make more. And then the third sheet that I printed, this is the veterinarian transactions, when we paid the vet. A lot of people had questions like, how much are we paying the vet? What I can tell you from what I saw is this is on the dates, the effective dates, and the payments that we made for veterinarian services. You'll see some of them are a couple of $1,000s. That would be, it could be like the one in December of 2022, if you see $5,000. It could be that we pay 2 months at once. We combined, I don't know. We'll allow Lieutenant Matthews to say anything he wants on these amounts. You're welcome to contact us with questions. You're
And to be
welcome.
clear, Mr. Commissioner Boyle, we don't expect answers tonight. This is.
No,
Oh, yeah, no.
no.
This is just so we
And-
can ask questions with and you can
Yeah.
get answers to
Right,
later.
right, gotcha.
So, yeah.
So that's what I brought, and I brought you a method to get more answers through the open records request or by contacting us. And at the table, do we want, I don't have discussion on these, does anyone else?
I had
What do you?
one question I saw, can't find it now. Go ahead. Diane.
When we talk about the veterinary services,
That's what I was looking for.
does that include the 2166 salary?
Yes, ma'am.
And I guess what I don't understand is, when it lists what's done for that, for the shelter animals, it says vaccinations for animals, but then if they adopt, does he want to charge this price up here? The $240 for the package. I mean, doesn't he, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Doesn't this $2,100, it says here.
It does not
vaccination-
include the shots.
But it says care for the animals housed at the shelters, vaccinations for the animals, treatment for sick, so doesn't that include, or is that?
The 2166 is what he agreed to for services. It's more of a consultant fee, but he is a vet. If you think about how much vets make and what he is.
Right.
The 2166 for him to come to the shelter, examine the animals, see who needs what. From there, if he can provide, some of the things he wouldn't charge for. If it got into a more where the animal had to have x-rays and surgery and stuff like that, then that would be in addition to the 2166.
So that doesn't include any vaccine, no vaccine.
Not on that. The vaccines are separate, as far as distemper or, bordetella, all those that are given, those will be billed separately. That's just for his services. So you're talking $25,000 a year. It's all he's charging to come down, be accessible. We had an emergency or something that comes up, he agreed to respond and do whatever care that he needed to do for the emergencies and things of that nature. It also was going to include euthanization of the animals. So our people, although they are trained and certified and licensed, but after you do that for a period of time, it can weigh on you. So that was going to be that, but then you run into time frame of him running his business and trying to assist us too. But again, he was the only vet that would agree to assist.
Well, it says a minimum of 1 to 2 shelter visits a week. So after that, does he then charge a fee for another visit?
If it's an emergency or something, then it would just be based on the treatment on the emergency. He don't, my understanding, again, and I hadn't been over there for a couple of years, 2.5 years, is that upon the initial one, 2166 covered him coming to the shelter twice a week, doing a walk through the shelter, looking at the animals. If any animals are in need of any treatment at that point, to go on and do the treatment while he is there. If it's something that needs to be taken to his facility in Macon County in order to treat the animal further, then we do that. The time that everybody was upset because the shelter was closed for a period of time, all the IVs and stuff was brought down and administered there at the shelter. They had 27 animals on IVs at one time during the outbreak of that flu, dog flu, whatever. All that was brought and done. There wasn't charge for the supplies, but no additional charges from him during that.
So I have a question. Are you done?
Yes.
I found what I was looking for. So under veterinary services, under the totals sheet, this one right here,
Okay.
Towards the bottom, about an inch up from the last thing, veterinary services.
Got it?
And if you don't know the answer, say I don't know the answer, I'll get it
Oh, I
for you
will.
later. But, so when did you get the vet that's contracted to come one or twice a week, depending on as needed? Like
I was
2016?
trying to remember,
or
yes,
how long?
2016, 2017, something in that, because they did an adjustment on the budget. If my memory serves me correctly, you know how that goes.
Sure. No, that's fine. The
But
question-
yeah,
well,
but
so
that's the reason you'll probably see an increase in the vet cost.
That's what I ask you about. So it
Right.
trends upward, and I would expect it to, because
Right.
nothing ever gets cheaper, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
we go 30,000 to 43,000 to 48,000 to 60,000. That makes sense. Then 57.9, everybody knows COVID changed things or whatever, but it's close to that 60.
Right.
Then 36
Right.
drops significantly off.
That-
Maybe the visitation's down, the serving of the animals is not as many, people are shutting their houses. I understand that trend of COVID, those numbers wacko. I'm not even asking for an explanation of that part.
And I'm
But
just.
then it starts coming back,
Mhm.
and we're still way down. So can you justify easily why it's down, or is it something you have to go figure out?
I would have to ask officially on that,
I
to
would
be,
expect it to be like 65.
yeah, to be
64.
certain, but I want to know, my question would be, and I would have to see, is the vet listed anywhere separately, or is that including the vet fee that they've got now? Of course, 2023, we're just into it, so they've got 43,779.
So I'm not preparing a full analysis, but I have reviewed somewhat.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I just wasn't prepared for a full presentation. As far as I could tell, and I spent a couple hours looking, that one vet line, based on the account descriptions and stuff, looked to be where we were putting all of our vet cost.
Okay.
Because all of the others were pretty clear what they were. I appreciated the detailed account descriptions in the comments, but that looked like to me where we were putting all the, and just to clarify, I think it's the vet's monthly fee plus it looks like maybe it goes up and down for the vaccinations or additional services of some
That,
kind.
and you also see animal food and supplies.
Yes.
Some of the supplies are getting at our vendors that we have. When I was there, we used Co-op. And some of the animal supplies for the animals was also bought at Co-op, or there was bought wherever we did. We got different vendors that we was approved to buy from.
Right.
So what I tried to do, if I could find it cheaper someplace else, and then that's the route we would go. But yeah, but as far as vet costs and stuff like that, you got a handle on it. It
Yeah,
seems
I
like it's
think
all
it
there.
was very solid in that.
But you're
now.
looking at 2166 a month times 12 months, that'd be 25,000, 26 ballpark. Anything over that would be the initial cost that they would have in the budget for further vet care. And then under animal supplies or whatever, some of it can be pulled from that
So,
at times.
And I know that we're gonna get this question from the audience and or from people. We don't have a lot of additional cost in this line item. After we take out the vet's monthly fee, we didn't have a lot of vaccinations and a lot of neutering during this period of time.
Right.
So
2020,
I just want to
2021.
acknowledge
Yeah.
that for everybody that's
Yes.
thinking that same thing. And to address what you're saying about the vendors and stuff, I did see that too. I didn't print the vendor item list, but I saw, and it looked like places you would go and buy things. I saw nothing that would disturb me about where I would have thought you would bought your cat litter.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That letter's like gold.
Yeah, and they've run out before too, and it wasn't good.
Is there any
You have
other
to search for it.
questions on financials of animal control? Or do we leave you with some things that you can?
Yeah, ask the
take some
sheriff
answers
about.
for? You got another question?
So, like I said, I welcome any questions, and also, we're going to continue, just looking at the numbers and, discussing them. If we could move, I'm asking, can we move it to old business?
Yes, yeah, I was gonna say the same
Thank you.
thing. So if any questions come in about that, now that it's out there, that we could get answers for that, we can keep that.
And if you got, like I said, if the people, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
No, yes, yes.
If the citizens have questions or whatever, if they could forward them to
Yes,
y'all.
that was my point,
Yeah,
yes.
and then we could get those on the list and see what
Sure thing.
information we find
Thank
out.
you.
What is sale of animals?
But that, don't be
Fees?
offended by that, that would just be the
No, I'm not.
finance office here,
Uh-huh.
just, giving it a word that accounting
The
could
monies
use.
that come in.
So it's the money that come in, if I went and,
From
it's
the-
my
the
adoption
fees,
fee.
From the
the
adoption.
fees.
It's the
Okay.
adoption fee.
Yeah, no, I'm not
It
saying
sounds a
this.
little
Didn't
strong,
know
but
what-
that's,
Yeah.
it's the adoption fee.
This is something somebody put on the,
And way
Fine.
back, it was
That's
kind of
finance.
interesting, when this started back in 2016, actually some of our revenue, it looked like somebody did merchandising perhaps. I didn't pull the actual thing, it wasn't a lot of money, but I found it interesting that perhaps they may have sold some food or a leash or who knows.
That's interesting. I don't
Yeah, it was just,
know.
and it could have been miscategorized, and I'm not gonna spend any time with it, cause it was many, many years ago. And I was like, well, that's interesting. It was just, things change.
Steve, can I ask, on the, I'll get up with you. The question that I asked about the rates going up and then trending a little bit down, is there a way we can put that on the agenda to where I don't have to remember to ask it, that it comes back up? Because he's gonna do the research and I wanna.
Well, I'm gonna put that as old business, the financials of animal control, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but that specific question, is that something?
That'd be encompassed in that topic,
Okay, I was hoping they would
yeah.
ask.
I mean, if he's,
And something in
back.
that, just I can answer too, from the time period that we had to release the vet to the time period we got another vet, you're gonna see a drop.
Do you know how long
Months,
the period of
yeah.
time that was?
Total, it's probably almost half a year,
What was done in that period of time to?
trying to get somebody.
But I mean, the animals just,
No, we still should have the relationship with Sumner Spade and Neuter.
back then?
And they did a lot of stuff for us.
So they were doing, they had their own vet and they were doing your.
Oh, yeah, yeah. See,
your-
and
your-
vets are hard to come by nowadays.
Gotcha.
If you
No, I
ask
understand.
anybody.
You've
Diana
explained
can
that
tell you,
too,
yeah.
and the strained relationship.
Rate
with-
trends
makes it even more
on
difficult.
Vets.
Commissioner Janone, you had one last question, I think.
I'm gonna have to go.
Oh, yeah,
but,
go ahead.
In the obtaining community input,
I'm gonna move on to that if you wanna ask it. So we're gonna move on to obtaining community input.
I have a suggestion. When we developed the opioid abatement committee, we developed a specific website for people to go and submit applications and things like that. And it sent all the emails about that to that website, to one person or to one entity. That allowed, so what that would do is keep, so as citizens email, like to me or Terry or Tim or the sheriff's office, it took all of those concerns and it would filter it into that website, so we could look at questions or even develop a form where a person could fill out, something happened, and that way you could see, kind of track what those questions are, concerns, because we have a little bit of room, we have people in this audience. If I multiplied you by 10 for each person, we're talking about thousands of people. So it's a way to give our Sumner County citizens a way to go to that place. You could, have restrictions, you can't cuss and say bad things and all that. But you would give genuine concerns about what they know, what they're concerned about. Then we could take that information and bring it to our committee and start working in that way, so we can, the sheriffs would know, and because there's a lot of great information, but I think it's getting lost. And so the IT department here could really help us with that, just specifically for citizen concerns. We could put stuff on there like about, after applying for an animal, like we have things on there about drug overdose and all that kind of stuff. It links to those kind of things, and our IT department could link those things. When a person clicked on it, it could go to that website. So there's more education about it, but it also gives the county citizens a way to voice that can't come and don't know people, can say, hey, I have an issue with blah, blah, blah. What can we do about it? Or I'd be willing to help.
That's a great idea, but I wanna, keep the questions coming into us.
Well, it would.
But could you talk to the
I
IT
could
department
talk.
about whether or not they have the bandwidth to do that and how hard it would be to?
They can do it. We just need to have, like, if you want it to come to us, then it would specifically have, like, the chairman, the members of the board, and it would go right there, because I have a feeling it's gonna get lost. And I want us to, we're here to be advocates for the community and also to work together. And I think that would be a great way. I would be very happy to talk to the IT department, because they did it for me.
Okay.
And see if we can, and then they can demo something for us.
Let me know what they say about that.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Commissioner Boyd.
I think you're full of great ideas. Are you volunteering to be the admin to this input we're getting?
Yeah, as long as I'm on the committee.
That's why I said I want to start with the emails to us, because I know I don't have the bandwidth to manage that.
We have citizens here though.
But I am interested to look at it and see what
Yeah,
the
I mean,
IT director
people
says
on
is possible.
Our board here that are willing to serve. I mean, not one person has to do this, to drive this ship,
Sure.
so.
And Commissioner Janone let me know that she had to leave at a specific
I
time,
know.
so she's gonna
Right.
excuse herself right now, but I wanna finish. Does anybody else have anything to go on with, obtaining community input? So,
So I have questions. My view of everything is, I think that one of the reasons that we do continue to circle around is what is the vision, and we talked about this early on, but I think at that time we directed it to what was the mission of this committee. But I'd like to change that, and I would like to know what the community wants from animal control. We all know what Williamson County wants, and I'm very aware of the numbers. We can't have that.
But your audience here wants that.
I know.
I can speak for them on that.
Oh, yeah, and I
With
can-
the years that I spent, 5.5 years I spent in animal control, they don't want mediocre. They don't want low, they want the best.
And
And in order to have the best, you gotta have the funding.
Yes, and if anybody'd like, I can bring the budget from Williamson County and we can look at that. It's difficult to go to that level, but I'll speak for myself. Commissioner Jones can speak for himself. I only ran for office to do whatever the citizens want, and if enough people want to throw more money to it and create a Friends of Animal, then we're going to make that happen. We can work on that. If we have enough people that, was it earlier today, somebody said, and maybe it was here at this table, that there are elections. You want to run for election and raise the taxes, and we'll build Williamson Animal Control. You convince me enough, I might vote for a multi-million-dollar facility. I don't know. I'll hear you. If I hear 2,000 of you, I'll go build us $1 million. I'll talk to Tim. I'll say, Tim, we can find some money somewhere. So we just want to do whatever, fits the community. I really don't. I know what I would like, but that doesn't matter right here. But what I don't know is what people want, the community input. So if we could come up with a way of having maybe just a few basic questions that we could form, and I would be open to opening the floor, but I'm talking about maybe 5 simple questions that we could answer that could drive us to what the community wants animal control. And then we can have a conversation, we can send it out. We have a list of partners in the county. There's a lot of great organizations that have stepped up and contribute immensely to our animal population here in the county. Spade and Neuter Alliance, we've mentioned many times, their work has been instrumental in keeping our animal population down. And that's why the house is not on fire, is because of the work they've done. So we want to recognize that. We want to ask these people that are out in the community, the Freedom Farms people, the cat rescue people. We want to say, what do you think? Because they've been working in it for 20 years. So we want just, 4 or 5 simple things.
Do you want those to be written down to be answered later, or are we going to try and answer them here at the table? These are going to be questions or statements?
If we could get questions of like how to
be answered later or
to structure this, we can send them out to these partners in the community. There are over 20 different partners in the community that could answer what they think. They see, I assume they see hundreds of people every year of these 20 organizations. If we could send them.
So you want questions asked that we can go get
and
answers
get answers,
for?
yeah.
Okay, I'll make that motion to suspend the rules if I can get a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So if
Okay.
anyone has what you would like to know from the community, or what you,
Just raise your hand.
Yeah,
And we'll take 3 to 5.
come on up, because I can't hear you from the back.
And I refer to this.
Our house is on fire. Our houses are on fire.
Keep it short and keep it
We
a
don't have enough
question
people to
that
do
we can
anything.
answer
Well, I can't
later.
have no questions. I have solutions. This has been going on for decades. I moved here in
All right,
keep-
I'm off the
You
call
don't hear
point
more of
on
that.
this. No,
Pardon
I
me?
do want to
question.
hear you, but I want to do this in a uniform manner. The way she said it is the reason why we suspended the rules. So this needs to be a question
Okay,
about
you
why can't we do this, and we'll get you an answer for it.
I know the answers.
If it's a list of suggestions.
If you don't want the suggestions, then I'll go sit.
No, that's what we're wanting.
No,
You
it,
just said one question.
The questions or
We don't have enough
suggestions.
money. There's not enough money for animal welfare in this county.
Okay, so more
I did
money.
this about 10 or 20 years ago, and they asked me and another person to go online and find out how much other states, give to their animal welfare. And when we checked them out, Sumner County gets nothing. And I'm assuming that whatever they do get, I've heard it goes back into the general fund. It's not spent on the animals. How many animals have I done this year? It's overwhelming. Everywhere, it's overwhelming. And we have more and more richer people moving in here. We can put more money into animal welfare. What we need to do is make some rules.
I'm sorry, who you with?
What, am I shut up now?
No, who you with? I'm looking at your shirt. You said we've done spay neuter. Okay.
I kind of work by myself.
Tired.
But I know the answers, but we just keep.
But that's what we need, more money.
Yeah.
And talking.
Can I just
All this
clarify?
rhetoric, all the history, I know the history. And all the same stuff has been mentioned over and over again. Just like when it was built, the animals were walking in their own blood. And that was because it wasn't built right. And we had some people that would go in there and they'd get in trouble because they blow a whistle.
So, I don't want this to turn into a complaint
Okay,
session.
it is a complaint
But
session for me.
I hear you.
But don't tell me we're not.
No, that's what, I want you
Okay.
to come speak on public speaking about stuff like that.
I have done it. I have done it.
But for this, I hear you, you're saying we need more
Right.
money.
I don't know how you can sit there and not say anything.
You're saying more money,
That's what she said.
right?
It's more money.
I hear you.
Diana could have handled the whole thing,
Okay,
what, 10 or 15 years ago?
okay,
That's it.
Can I,
Thank you.
can I clarify
Yes,
on one of your
please.
questions? When you ask about,
you said, why can't we get more money?
Why
We're
can't
gonna
we
take
get more
out
money?
the question.
So what I'd like to know is,
That's what you
would
want.
we like to look at a comparison of what other counties in Tennessee spend? Or would we like an analysis of what other states spend? Or both? Both. That's what I
We
needed.
don't need to know that.
Not just the money. it's
We
how
need to
much
know what we need
it's-
right here. We don't need any
Well,
comparison.
you looked at the comparison, you said Sumner County doesn't give anything
Well,
compared to
this
other
has been 10
people.
years ago.
Compared to other people.
I don't think that we've gotten any more money allotted for animal control. I don't think it's changed. It's not changed. If
Small
anything,
amounts.
it's gotten worse.
Small amounts. The majority, oh, I'm sorry.
So it
This is
doesn't go to
Terry's.
the general fund, though, it goes to our donation to them, or our allotment to them of what, 600,000?
I can't speak to where and how it goes. I mean,
And then-
and I told you last night, if money's
Some of the
flowing.
unspent money comes back to us, so
So,
I just wanna make sure that you're not making a statement that's true or untrue, and we'll find out the amount, if that's what you're asking.
We need to make it illegal for people to not spay and neuter their animals.
Yes.
Some states, it's illegal.
That will be your state legislator.
They just came in the session
Well,
today.
okay, I'm just saying what we need to do.
Okay,
I
again,
agree, I
working
agree.
towards goals of getting all animals spayed and neutered. I got you.
We've done this for how many decades, and nothing ever changes, ever. Does it, Diane?
This is my first time here, so.
Mine too.
I'm gonna try, I'm gonna put my best forth effort out. Do we have another question? Thank you guys so much.
question.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to stand up, stay here, what would you prefer?
If you want everybody to hear you, stand up and ask your
and,
question.
and I like to say,
I have a
if you
lawyer
want to
voice.
be heard on this video, this is where the microphone is.
Thank you.
You were great. I'm pretty sure. It's good.
I'm talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would like for the ferals to be addressed. There are those of us in the TNR community, I know that's controversial in some places,
Explain to you now.
trap, neuter, release, and I say slash rehome because we rehomed a lot that we did this summer, right? It is frustrating to go out in rain, sleet, and snow and hail and be beating the bushes, setting traps, and trap, take, often at our own expense, have the animal neutered, bring it back to its community, and have it be picked up by animal control, and then euthanized, because nobody's gonna adopt a feral cat. That's frustrating, it defeats the purpose of TNR. Please get a TNR policy, and don't kill them. And this is a community education problem. Once people understand that these cats are better off in their community, reframe the, are they really a nuisance? I mean, I live with a large community cat population in central Gallatin, and we all get along. It can be done. Please, can you get what can you do to get a TNR policy for the tipped ear cats being picked up? Because it breaks our hearts to see them picked up. because they're gonna be killed.
Tip-eared cats?
Yes.
Being picked up? Explain that. Tip-eared cat?
We would prefer that tip-eared cats not be picked up by animals.
What is a tip-eared cat?
Oh, goodness, forget it. I'm not, everybody
Keep
here
in mind,
knows.
this is also for the public record,
Everybody
so
knows.
you're educated.
When a cat,
What
when a feral cat, and sometimes my own outdoor cats, indoor-outdoor cats, their ear, under sedation, when they're being spayed or neutered, their ear, tip of their ear will be clipped off. That's to let the community and anybody that would see them and say there's a stray, you know, no, don't redo the surgery. This cat has already been spayed, neutered, vaccinated, vetted, and, you know, this is a good thing. This contributes to community quality of life.
So that was good that you announced that for the public, so now
Now
everybody knows what a
everyone
tip-eared cat is, thank you. Okay.
Okay. So we got more money
You had
and we
something
got
first.
TR for the.
Policies on TNR.
Mhm.
You were ready to
And,
talk about
and I
such
think
down.
that,
because-
I heard that we
That's
want
fine.
all, I think I've heard that, I think
Alright.
I've heard it resounding, we want all animals spayed and neutered on the.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
I got
number
that.
three. If-
Yes.
I got that
So
on.
we got three things
This is
right
number
now.
3, if, you guys wanna kind of whisper to each other what the, get together, and maybe some of the things are gonna be said together, so, go ahead.
Yes, so many things to say, but I'll keep it with this. Yes, we want more funding. And again, because this county's getting wealthier, I believe people would be open to that. We just appropriated $15 million for bleachers. I think we can come up with, $1 million for animal control.
Okay.
So that's the one thing. And the other thing is, I really feel like, I mentioned this, and it's in my packet, about going to some of these other places. Again, McCamey, I know it's Chattanooga, I know that's a bigger county, it's Hamilton County, but they only take intakes from a population that is almost exactly the same as Sumner County. It's from Chattanooga City and 2 other very smaller municipalities. They get county funding, but they are contracted as a 501c3 to do that. And I would ask everybody in this room to look at their website, because it is transparent, it is open, and it is beautifully done.
The name of the county again, please?
Hamilton.
Hamilton, thank you.
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
McCamey Animal Center. And I do have contacts there. I'd be happy to go on a field trip with anybody.
All right, thank
I
you.
love field trips.
So, I
We're
drive
gonna
over.
take 2 more. Go ahead, the gray sweatshirt.
Hey, my name's Shirley Vestal. I run a very small German Shepherd rescue in the area. And one of the questions I want to know is, how are we enforcing violators? Dogs running at large. Where are those fees going? Are those going back into the shelter? Where are those going?
County General.
Why aren't those going to you guys? You're the ones out there enforcing that. Why is that money not going back to the
You
animals?
collect those?
We
Animal
don't
control
collect it,
collects
no. We write citations, it goes to General Sessions Court. General Sessions Court, if they find the person or whatever, those funds go into the general fund.
That's ridiculous. That needs to go back
Write-
into the
Write that
animals.
down, that's, we need to look at that.
Yes, we do.
Thank you for bringing that point up.
Can you address, what you think that those fees would be? Are we looking at, we have people out picking up animals and issuing citations every day, once a
Yes,
week? Are we
when we
talking
get called-
$1,000 or $20,000?
No, the maximum fine, and that is set by state legislation. Most of the time on a fee-based session, it's $50 plus court cost and stuff like that. So you're looking at $280 to $300 if you get found convicted. The actual fine of it is like $50. The rest of it's the court costs and taxes
Why do you
and
have to
things
pay the
like
court
that.
costs and taxes?
Because it's in General Sessions Court.
That's true of
So,
any.
so you don't
Through
go
any
pay the
charge
fine and
against
get your
the-
animal back, you have to go to court every time.
Right.
That's true of any, misdemeanor offense of anything
Correct.
of that nature goes to the general fund.
Just, I'm saying educating me, but also the public, so it's not like what you see on TV or what you think about, that you go pay to get your dog out of jail,
Okay,
$50.
if we
You
pick
have to go to
up,
court.
yes, no, if we write you a citation for your animal being at large, you gotta go to court. If we pick up your animal and choose based on first offense, animal's never been to shelter, no other complaints,
Gotcha.
and we bring the animal to our facility, then in order to get your animal back, there is a fee, and those fees are set. when I was there, I can tell you, and I believe it's the same, it's $50 on the first offense, $75 on the second offense. If it goes to a third offense, it's usually $100 and a citation.
So-
And if it's more than that, you just keep getting
So
citations.
those are the fees I think you're talking about, because the other fees, court costs and stuff, are going to have to be retained by the court for them having to process
the
stuff.
actual
But the actual
animal.
offense fee is something we could look at.
Yes, that, again, those
You said
fees
that
go
also
in,
goes to the
right.
general fund.
All adoption fees go to the general fund. All fees that is brought in by the animal control goes back to the general fund. When we have confiscation of animals, court-ordered confiscation, such as we had 40-something goats because the lady wouldn't take care of them and they was eating the cornfields and everything of the neighbors. She paid $6,000-something to get her goats back. For 2 weeks, they're out again. We rounded them all back up again, which takes a little while to get them back. Well, she agreed at that point that she can't take care of them. We got the opportunity at that time in order to there's 2 ways we can get to it. We can adopt them out, which we have done, or we can take them to a livestock sale where people wanting animals, farmers and stuff, because they've raised these goats and stuff, and do it there. That $6,000 is something that we got paid. That goes to the general fund, unless we can make a specific request that be coming back to the shelter.
Have you ever done that?
I have. The livestock sale on a bunch of goats we took was $7,000-something.
What's the procedure for doing that?
The sheriff has to make a request. It goes to the county commission. The county commissioners hear the request and decide whether they want to return the funds or not. I was able to pay $7,500 for new beds for the shelter when I was there, off the sale of cattle that we had that time.
Okay.
And so, because we was always looking for revenue or things, and this Friends, they're talking about Friends of Sumner County, a 501(c) organization. I was going to try to get something like that, but I don't need to be a part of it. It needs to be, separate, so there's, you don't want to.
Gotcha.
But that would be an excellent way. We're a member of the dog, the people that do the dogs. You can get on their website and people can make donations and buy a bed, and that organization will send it to the shelter.
Okay.
All things like that will help. I'm sorry.
So I just want to clear up all of this about the general fund.
Mhm.
So on this sheet with totals, you see these numbers over here. The first number is 101. You'll notice that every number down through here is 101. This is our general fund. All of the expenses are paid out of the general fund. All of the revenue goes into the general fund. When we budget for animal control, we budget out of the general fund. There is not we can earmark, we can look during budget time at their needs, but there's nowhere else to put the money. The way we would give the money back to the sheriff's office is through the general fund. So it's not like that we're moving it over here and using it for anything. This is our fund. It's like our bank account. If you take the word general fund out, this is where we keep up with our bank balance. This is what we pay them. This is where their expenditures come out of, and this is where the money for the fees and stuff come back.
So,
However, I don't know if we're getting the court fees back.
well, I don't think
So-
we should get the court fees back, because the court
Or
costs.
or any
fines.
of, I don't know, and I will find that out, but I just want to clear up, when we're saying it goes back into the general fund, it's not like we're using it to pave highways or anything. This is just our bank balance.
But to clarify, Commissioner Boyd, something we could look into on that is if year over year we see an increase in that,
We need
monies
to
that are coming
analyze
in, then possibly we could raise the amount of monies going out
I don't think
because of maintenance of effort.
I don't know if it would be possible to categorize the amount of fines coming from what source. I think the circuit court clerk and the general sessions court clerk sends a check, and I don't think it's broken down by offense. So you're not going to know if it's for DUI or for code violations or for animals at large. You're not going to know
You have to know
where
the
it's from.
case.
You have to know the case number.
Case
and all that.
individual.
So we could look at it from their point though, from the fee that they charge, right?
at the animal shelter.
Yeah.
The court, the
The first
fee,
offense, second offense fee, third offense fee.
Right.
The
Not
fee-
not
That's
the
set by
court
the
costs.
sheriff.
Not the court costs.
right, I'm saying the fine that they pay, the $50 fine is
So-
paid,
She's talking about the fine on the ticket.
the ticket
I
fine.
understand, but they're the ones
But-
logging that though, so we should be able to track it, right?
Or, they're two different things. What we're charging is a return to owner fee.
Mhm.
What he's talking about is when we write a citation and they go to general sessions court, what they pay the court system there.
So that return to owner fee,
That's the fee that goes back to our general fund, but it doesn't go back to necessarily benefiting the shelter. No. And
what I'm saying is tracking that amount of money,
That
and
can be
year over
tracked.
year it goes up, we could use that as a possible, hey, they're getting more and more animals off the street type of thing. That's all I'm saying.
And I have a community question regarding the fees. And I've kind of scouted around a bit. I don't think we pick up that many animals. I think that it's the will of a lot of people I run into. They say, I live in Sumner County because I want my dog to run free, or I live on a farm. And
Tennessee state law won't let us.
I understand, but are
These
we
laws are
lax
ordinance,
on
city
picking up
ordinance, right?
dogs?
No.
Do we actually send out people?
Yes, we do.
And
every
is
time we
that
get
what
a
we all
call,
want to do?
yeah, every time we get a call, because we get numerous calls, we go out to there and
And
try
you
to
get 'em.
locate the animals. If we see
Good.
the animal running large, then we try to pick them up. If we can't catch them, we went to as far as having a vet go out with a tranquilizer gun and tranquilize them. We've also got these large live traps that we can set. We bait them with food. They go in there, they step on the plate, the door closes.
These are nuisance animals, right? Because only
Some
leash
of 'em-
laws
some
are in
of 'em-
city limits, right?
No, state of
It's
Tennessee.
state,
State
okay,
law.
okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna take,
They are active, but again, you're talking personnel, and you'll take a look at the animal control budget. The majority of the animal control budget goes to salaries and benefits of the people. You back that out, you're talking a small portion of actual budget that's left to do everything else. And with state vet, every time he comes out and inspects our facility, and when I was there, he keeps looking at the budget and he said, how in the world are y'all doing what you're doing? And I just tell him, we do everything we can, we're doing what we can. So like I said, you take the salaries and benefits out, and now you got the actual money that's left, it's not that much as a
I
whole.
have one more question, go ahead.
So my last question is, the shelter has an office built off for spaying and neuter. You guys, Sumner Spain, established that. That's not being used. How can that be used to get a veterinarian into that facility at a lower cost and start doing these mass spays and neuters?
So-
Currently-
You have the facility exists, we just need the manpower.
So-
That's gotta be a cost savings there.
That's been addressed before in other meetings, and I'm not saying we're not still looking at trying to make things better, but, one, the challenge of trying to get a full-time vet there all the time, because vets are hard to come by, has been brought up by Lieutenant Matthews. But also the cost is gonna increase, and the cost that the county, the budget would increase for animal control. So again, that goes to the first question about, she had about, getting more money for the county,
But
so.
what if that could be, you could facilitate that for people that adopt to come back and get low cost
So
shots?
I would love to have a vet there all of the time, but I think the bigger issue we've identified is without accountability and a contract of some sort, there's going to be a hardship in the relationship that could break apart at any time because of disagreements. So I think we still need to focus on either a contract or some sort of action that would cause accountability to the two relationships. So, but I hear you, and we're not thinking about that facility. It does need to be used better.
Yeah.
So
What we're using it for right now is quarantine areas for animals that come in. We set up the kennels, and when we got an animal need to quarantine, that's what it's being used right now. But again, you go back to building design, you got the whole building that's operating on 2 air units, right? You go to the place down in Texas, a big organization down there, they got a large building, but each area's got a separate air handler and air unit. the reason for that is to cut down on the disease and things
I
like
thought
that.
y'all implemented a system into that.
We just put a air
Yeah,
purification
back in summer,
system in
yeah.
it. That was 25, 30,000, 35,000, somewhere around that area,
To cut
which has
down on
helped.
cross-contamination.
But still, you still got the cross-contamination that can happen because of the, again, it's unfortunate. They thought they was doing good at the time. The guy who built the place went bankrupt afterwards, and a lot of things was done improperly. You know, and that's what we've been stuck with, having to deal with. But yes, ma'am, that's what Sheriff Weatherford was trying to do when he approached Sumner Spade and Neuter, is get our animals spayed and neutered there, and then they was having the citizens of Sumner County also come in there, but we couldn't work that out at a particular time.
All right, I'm gonna close the questions for now, but I will be available afterwards if somebody wants to add in a couple extra. I'll be available to speak to. We're gonna move on to item C under new business, which is addition of a second citizen member. And I'll take, I'd like to nominate Donna DeSopo for that citizen member, as I make the motion to nominate her.
I'll make a second.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
This is to send it to the Health and Emergency Services Committee
Yes.
recommendation.
They will have to approve her appointment, and then if so, she will sit on this board next month. And I got one more motion.
No, I have a question.
Sure, yes.
What would be the date of our next meeting?
It's the second Tuesday of the month, so does anybody got a calendar handy? Looks like
That's
February
right.
13th.
Mm-hmm.
So February 13th,
Bring your loved one to the meeting
5:30.
on February 13th.
Same time,
No animals allowed.
5:30.
5:30.
And before you make your last motion, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I
sir.
just want to say I appreciate you giving the latitude that you did tonight for some questions and stuff to come
Yeah.
in. Because again, we're trying to seek, like you said, what the public would like us to do.
Sure.
And then, so they've got a lot of good points. And like I said, I will tell Diana's been around for many, many years, and she's got a lot of good points also on recommendations and stuff. And so I look forward to working on these things.
Thank you, Lieutenant Matthews. And one more motion, if somebody wants to make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Got a second? All those in favor?
Aye.